Hey guys, welcome back for another episode of Not the Girl Next Door. I'm your host, Meg Reynolds, and surprise, surprise, we've got another episode on Heartbreak. This episode, funny enough, I pre-planned this to record this episode, and then the Summer House reunion first episode dropped last night, and I was like, chef's kiss, I have impeccable timing. But what inspired this episode is the ghosts of my past, and literally not just my exes, but in the past month, I shit you not, I have had 3 different men from my past all try and come back into my life. And it's funny because it's literally like the ghost of exes past. And you know, none of them it was all situationships, or we went on a couple dates, like whatever, it never panned out. But they were all from like the same period of time in my life, like one after the other. And the first one, so we'll just go in chronological order. The first one, I was coming back from a gig, and I think I mentioned this on the podcast already. I was coming back from a gig, and I see this man in my fucking parking garage of my apartment. I get out of my car. I don't say hello. I don't say anything. I go, what the fuck? And he just looks at me and goes, yeah, I'm sorry, I live here now. Not only does this man live here, lives down the fucking hall from me. And this was a man, this is the one that like, it didn't end well. And it was, again, I met him. The wound when I was with him is I was still in the midst of dealing with everything with my ex. And it was like, I was off with my ex. I was on with this guy. I was off with this guy. I was back with my ex. And like, I see now so clearly the wounds I was still in, even though I thought I was so healed at my big age of 24. I was not fucking healed. And actually I was even 23 at the time, I was like 22, 23 at the time, even worse. And so it didn't end well. And this is the one who he gave me that whole big speech of he's changed and he fucked up 3 years ago and he wants to give us a real shot. And then he fucked up and he was like, it got real and I got scared. And the thing is, I'll come back to all the lessons in a second. So that was the first one. The second one is Mr. Spaghetti Boy. Shocker. He was never really out of the picture. It was one of those, we enjoy each other's company, but we know this is never going to be anything. We've never slept together. Like, it's just PG-13 makeouts. And he had fucked up and I was like, this is annoying. And so he asked to take me to dinner and I said, sure. We picked a day that he was purposefully off work so that there was no chance he was working late or whatever. I can't even make this up, guys. He was going to be 45 minutes late to pick me up when he had the day off of work. And I literally said to him, don't bother. Just don't bother. And his reasoning was he couldn't get his contacts in. So we hadn't spoken in a little over a month. And then fast forward just recently, I was having a really bad day. And it was one of those days where I was like, someone please just give me a reason to go off on them. And surprise, surprise, he had been reaching out to me. So he had been reaching out to me via Instagram, like responding to all my Instagram stories, just telling me how good I look and then following it up with an apology. And I've told him time and time again, look, I know we're not going to be anything, but I still want to feel like not just an object to you. Like objectification honestly isn't flattering to me anymore. Like, yes, it's like nice, but when it's constant, it's not flattering. Like, I don't want to feel like just an object to you. And I told him that. And I was like, you have my phone number. If you were actually sorry, you would have sent me a proper apology by now. So he sends me this long apology. And I basically called him. I go, is it just like a fun kink of yours to see how much I'll let you disrespect me? Like, I don't understand what the point is here of you trying to, because he was trying to see me again. I'm like, what is the point of you wanting to see me? Like, this is done. And I kind of said to him, like, you know, I'm not mad at you. I have no ill will towards you. I just don't think that there's anything left to say or to fix here, because you cannot in the same sentence claim that you love women, you respect women, that you care for me and that you respect me, and then continue to do the things and exhibit the behaviors that I say actively make me feel disrespected. It's just not how it works. So Spaghetti Boy's out. And then the third and final ghost of my past who came back recently, I'll call him Film Boy. I don't know if I ever spoke about him on the podcast. He was kind of in the era he was also pre-layoff. And with him, there's not a bad thing I can say about him. He was always so respectful to me, so kind to me, and so honest with me for all of his own internal shit that he's got going on. And we just met at probably the worst possible time two people could meet to start dating. Like, to put in perspective, our first date was the night before I left to go take care of Pop, who was literally terminally ill. He passed 3 weeks later. And so I was home for 2 weeks, came back, had to go to iHeart Festival, came back from that, and I get the phone call that Pop has passed. And so like at that time in my life too, I was again 24. It was before I got laid off. And, you know, it was in that era. And I just really so badly wanted him to fix something for me. And I think I was kind of like using him as a distraction from my grief, which is really fucked up. But again, he had his own shit. There was nothing bad to say. And like neither of us were ready for a relationship. But he had posted on Instagram apparently a month ago, but Instagram put it on my feed. I liked the post. And within 10 minutes, I have a text from him. His number wasn't saved in my phone anymore. Felt bad about that. But so we've been talking, we went to drinks, and, you know, it's same thing with each of these ghosts. It's like, I have such clarity now, and I have left the restaurant. Again, we never dated, but with each of them, I can just see how the Meg back then just wanted to be chosen by them. And they each activated some kind of wound in me, and they were all avoidantly attached. And that avoidant attachment activates like my own wounds. And I can see now how none of them were ever going to be my person. And the things that like every time, and I think we all as women have done that, like, oh, if they just did this or that, like then it would work. And it's like, well, then they wouldn't be them if they behaved that certain way. And so it's kind of peaceful to be able to have this clarity of like, wow, yeah, I really do care for you and I want you to be happy, but like I recognize I'm not going to be that person for you. And so that's the thing I kind of realize now is like the nights that I've crashed out, the double texts, the tears, the just anything, waiting for a response, letting my mood be dictated by their text messages. None of it was ever about the guys. None of it was ever about the guys. It was about me, and it was about how I felt about myself. That's the thing, is the longer I was staying at the restaurant each time, the harder it was to not only walk away, but to just take back my sense of self and control my emotions and have that emotional stability. And so if you're the person who's listening to this and it's been a year, 2, 5 years, and you feel like you're still at the restaurant, that's why I'm recording this episode, because there is a difference between looking at the restaurant menu every now and then and like reflecting versus literally being stuck at the table. You just can't bring yourself to ask for the bill. And I think this is what like Summer House is the perfect example of this. Like Sierra Miller hadn't left the restaurant. Even though it had been 2 years since her and West were a thing, she still wanted to be chosen by West. And we can all see that clear as day. And she is the perfect example of how, for some reason, as women, we will let a man dog us time and time again. And we need them to do something absolutely diabolical for us to be able to walk away. And the reason for that is whatever that man is, they've activated a core wound in you. And for some reason, and like, it could be 5 years and you haven't spoken and they come back and it's, you guys pick up where you've left off, including the toxic traits, and nothing has actually changed. And I'm not saying to not, if that time has passed and you want to give someone another chance, sure. But you need to make sure you've left the restaurant to begin with, because otherwise you're just holding on to who that person was and you're then reigniting your own core wounds. This is why too, with Sierra, Austin was kind of interchangeable for West. He still activated that core wound of wanting to be chosen. And so she's not hung up on West because she thinks this he's like this amazing guy and like she'll never meet anybody like with him. She'll never meet anybody like him again. Like she is light years ahead of him in all aspects. I'm not just talking appearance, but just her career and the things she's achieved. It's because he activated that core wound in her, and she just wants to be chosen by her. And I think we see this again in all the moments this season where she's talked about the pain that she felt from the social media backlash and those conversations, how she hates feeling like she's an object to men and how men want to sleep with her but not date her. I mean, that is an issue that time and time again I've struggled with. I know there's so many guys on my phone I could text to like sleep with if I wanted to, but I don't want that. And most women don't want that. Sex is cheap. Emotional intimacy is expensive, and it should be. And the access to you that way should be expensive. So when I was watching this reunion, West I'm sorry, him saying he felt zen. I don't know if that was supposed to be sarcastic. It didn't come off that way, but they both seemed too cool, calm, collected, and it pissed me fucking off. And I'm sorry, Amanda's eye roll, spare me. Fucking spare me. Look, I never want to be parasocial and constantly dogging on her, but like, she just makes it so fucking easy because what is wrong with you? Like this person, it's very clear to me now. I said this in an episode that I did on the original scandal, how I think Amanda had some secret resentment towards Sierra. That has become clear as day. There was resentment and there was jealousy on Amanda's part towards Sierra. And Sierra called it like it is, that Amanda is weak and that she went from one man to the next. I forget what the actual line is. Okay, wait, this is the line.
Or maybe they'll be together because I honestly think that the best like woman for West is like someone who's not going to check him on anything, and that's totally Amanda. Like she's very mute. She's going to be that weak figure that he needs, and he can always be the star in the relationship. So I actually think like maybe it could work.
Could not. I like had to play the clip because I couldn't have said it better myself, but I think that is so true. We've seen this, like Amanda went from mothering one man to the next. And here's the thing too, the thing about Amanda and why it is so important that you heal your own wounds is you don't become the Amanda that weaponizes her tears and weaponizes her wounds. And she has such a victim complex. Like that's why I'm saying like the fucking eye roll, spare me. Like she wants to be the victim in this situation and the victim in her life so fucking badly. Any chance she gets, she brings up Kyle's cheating. And not for nothing, look, you stood by a cheater. Once you forgive a person for cheating, you cannot continue to weaponize that against them. Now, if they continue to cheat and then you can still continue to say, you're part of the problem. So Amanda is and has always been part of the fucking problem, but she'll never admit that and never take accountability for that because again, that is her weakness and it's stemming probably from her own wounds, her own insecurity, whatever. I'm not going to psychoanalyze her to make excuses, but like we all struggle. And like, I'm so sick of her mental health being used as a scapegoat and excuse for her behavior. And like, you can have mental health issues and still be a shitty person and do things that you need to take accountability for. Like, it's not an excuse. I've seen zero remorse, zero accountability. And look, Kyle Cook, not the perfect husband, but I think he was so largely misunderstood this season, like, and just by seeing the way he still cares for Amanda and has so much grace for her. And I honestly think that because he was on track to be the villain of the season, I think he would still love to be the villain of the season if it meant he could still be sitting next to Amanda on that couch. And that's really so sad to me to see. And with this, one last thing I'll say on this, and then I'll get back to Sierra. Like, Wes and Amanda, they're not fucking stupid, okay? They know how the Bravo fan base is. They just had zero care for the people around them because they would have, like, they know people are going to spot them. They know people are going to see that and they know it's going to get out. So like, I don't understand why we're acting surprised and, you know, all this stuff. One, the timeline is bullshit. We can all agree there. Like, the fact of the matter is, if they had any respect for their friends who they claim to love, who they claim are their best fucking friends in the whole world, the second they were feeling anything, that would have been a conversation. Like, and it should have been a conversation because there is no world where you date your friend's ex. If you're going to date a friend's ex, you have to be prepared that person may no longer want to be your friend. I don't care how long it's been. Like, I can't imagine, like, I just can't imagine it. I don't want to sleep with somebody, like, no. Especially because you also know all the dirty, like, bad things about this person. Like, I don't get it. But this is why I'm saying, like, Amanda is in her own wound of wanting to be chosen. And she literally is got Kyle Cook 2.0 right now. She's going to try and change the party boy ways, the bad boy ways, but she's still just a side bitch, like Mia said. But anyways, back to Sierra. Like, no one can fault Sierra for taking Amanda at his word because she is so brutally honest. And this is why I'm saying, like, just because you are honest and intentional with yourself does not mean other people are going to act accordingly and respond accordingly. And this is where your discernment comes in, because I know I'm the same way. I am so honest. And so was Sierra about how intimacy means something to her, how, like, she perceived things, how she wants a relationship and all those things. And so God forbid a woman be able to take a man at his word and when she is vocal about those things and he says, yeah, I hear you and I understand and I agree, or like whatever it is, and he still acts accordingly and he behaves the way that you say will mean something to you. Like Wes can sit here and argue technicalities all he fucking wants. They dated, whether they had a title or not. But in my opinion, and I think in the opinion of a lot of people, spending every single day together, per West's own words, like meeting the parents, spending so much time, like that is a relationship. And I think this is why dating is so messy. Here's the thing. If Sierra had left the restaurant, it's not that this situation wouldn't have been painful, because it 100% would be, and it would still be a betrayal. But I think part of why this situation cuts so deep is because once again, West hasn't chosen her. And whether she'll say it out loud or not, I think there was a part of her that really thought he might this time, because it had been 2 years, because she had seen such growth in him. And like, I get it because I've been there time and time again, but you got to leave the restaurant. And so here's the thing. Maybe you think you've left the restaurant. Maybe the bill's been paid. You've had the heartbreak. You've read the books. You've listened to the podcast. You've beaten the dead horse with your friends. Like you've gotten under somebody to get over them. Like you've listened to the songs. You've done all of the things, and you know, and you can consciously say that they're not coming back, but subconsciously there is still that part of you that hopes one day, but your heart can't accept it. And you're still stuck at the restaurant. I think for me, going back to my college relationship, I think I was stuck at the restaurant longer than I wanted to admit, because part of when we were breaking up, what he said to me, and this was kind of diabolical on his part, what he said to me is that he was like, I do love you. I just need, what did he say? He was like, I do love you. I just need to be single right now. And he was like, the thing is, I can still see us ending up together, but in 5 years, I just think we're so young and we need to experience life right now. Of course I'm going to be stuck at the restaurant. I was fucking 20 years old, and like what I thought was the love of my life is telling me, yeah, he wants us to end up together, but like we just want to grow first. And I remember being like, I'm not going to wait for you. Like, and he was like, I don't expect you to, but like if in 5 years we're both still single and like we want to give this another shot. And I think for the longest time, I wouldn't say I waited a full 5 years, but I think, for a long time I did partially wait and partially hope that there would be something there. But now that I left the restaurant, it doesn't mean that you never think of your ex. It doesn't mean that you can't remember the good times, and you can't, wonder about what your life would look like if you were still with them. I don't think any of that is what means you haven't left. It's when you're stuck in it. And I fully believe it's possible to still have love for someone that you once were in love with. Whoever we date, we spend so much time with, we invest so much with, they know, theoretically, they would know the deepest parts of ourselves. In certain times, you think that they know you even better than you know yourself. And so, of course, I think it's so normal for those feelings to still linger. And I think it's so normal to wonder about them from time to time and still have care for them, especially if nothing bad really ended the relationship. But not leaving the restaurant is entirely different. There's a difference between having love for somebody and still holding love for somebody. And, moving on isn't this big dramatic thing like the blowouts are. It's not something that can be forced. The thing about leaving the restaurant is no one can force you to leave. You can't force yourself to leave. You have to learn that there's nothing else to wait for in the restaurant. There's nothing else really keeping you there. And so people always say that time heals things, but it's not time itself that necessarily heals everything. And that's why you see people feeling like 5 years down the line and you're still hung up on this person. It's not about the time itself. Time just gives you the space to heal, and it gives you the opportunity to learn new behaviors. And so that part is on you to make choices that are aligning with your ability to choose differently. And so that's why it's so important to do things like going no contact with them. Stop listening to the songs that, make you think of them. Get rid of the photos in your apartment. Get rid of the photos on your phone. Like, stop looking at them. Stop checking up on them on social media. Like, stop wearing their clothes. Stop, whatever it is that's keeping you stuck. Like, you feel stuck because you haven't let go, because for some reason letting go feels like you're jumping out of a plane with no parachute. You think this person is attached to your identity. Or they've activated some core wound about yourself that you need to heal. And I think part of leaving the restaurant that it's important to remember is another person cannot be responsible for your emotional stability. My mood used to be so influenced by the texts a guy would send, how long he took to respond. Like would not feel okay in my own body until I had a text and saw his name pop up on my phone. And don't get me wrong, I've noticed when I'm dating now, when those times happen, I'm like, okay, why am I feeling so anxious about this? And it's because this person is not right for me. They're not, they're avoidant in some way, whatever it is. Like, healing does not mean your wound is never going to be activated again, that you're never going to fall into those old habits again. The key is being able to recognize them and then quickly pull your ass out of there. Like, your life is bigger than one person's attention. And that is what you need to remember when it comes time to leave the restaurant. And we think what we want is closure, but that's not even the case either, because anytime my friends talk to me and are like, I just want to talk to them one last time, I just feel like I need closure. I'm like, what is it that you need exactly? Like, pinpoint what it is that they could say to you to get you to get up out from that table and walk away. And the thing is, there's never a clear answer. We want an explanation. We want, to know that it wasn't us, it was them. But the reality is none of that ever makes us feel better, because it's not what we want at the end of the day, because what we actually want is to just be chosen by them. We want them to be like, I fucked up. I'm sorry. I changed my mind. I don't mean this. Like, I need you. I love you, whatever it is. Like, closure isn't a real thing, because we don't want closure. We want to be chosen. I want you to look at this exercise, writing a letter to your ex, as the bill itself. So it's going to be itemized. Write down what happened, not just what your emotions are, but the facts of what happened, the good, the bad, the ugly. No interpretation of it. It's what you ordered at the restaurant. This is what happened. And write down how that situation made you feel. How was the service? Like, this is your time to be raw and honest and so vulnerable. Stop lying to yourself about how things made you feel. Stop lying to yourself about the reality of things. Like, no one is seeing the check but you, all right? You're the one putting your credit card down. You're the one signing the tip line. No one is seeing it but you. And so your feelings aren't right or wrong. It's just your experience. And after that, I want you to write what you need to take accountability for. Is it that you forgave them time and time again for cheating? Is it that you also exhibited toxic behaviors? Whatever it is, it does take two in a relationship. And so what is it that you failed at in the relationship that you need to take accountability for? What do you forgive them for? And forgiveness is not, I always say, look, you don't have to forgive in order to forget. And I firmly believe that you don't. But sometimes forgiveness simply means giving yourself the permission to release yourself from the emotional ties of their actions. And so it's literally just about freeing yourself from that anger you're holding on to. And write what you learned. What is it that this relationship taught you about what you want for yourself? What is it that it taught you about yourself? Like, write everything you learned and you're taking away from this relationship so you can be better for the next person in your life. And then just end on a good note. End on what you're thankful for. End on what their love meant to you. End on, what it is that you wish for them in the future. I just find it really hard, even when people have done me dirty, I find it really hard to hate them, because there was a time where they meant so much to me. It doesn't matter how they betrayed me or dogged me. There was a time in my life that they were the most important person in my life. And this goes for friendships too. Like, I can't hate past friends. I can't hate past relationships, because they meant something to me at one point, and I don't take that lightly. And so you can hold on to the memories and you can hold on to the good while consciously acknowledging why they are no longer good for you and why they no longer have a place in your life. And I think that's what it means to leave the restaurant. It's not about never looking at the restaurant's menu again. Sometimes it's just about, you look at the menu and you remember the times that you liked going to that restaurant, and then you can just walk by and go to the next one, go to the new spot. And I think this is part of why, situationships are the current relationship standard, because everyone is too afraid to fully let themselves be seen, to fully let themselves be known. And it's because they themselves are afraid to get to know themselves, because that would mean confronting their wounds. And that's a painful thing to do. And not everyone has the capacity to do it, because it's so ironic to me. Like, the irony isn't lost on me that in this era of healing and therapy and the conversations around mental health, we've actually never been more disconnected from what it is that we're actually feeling, because a lot of us are just performing healing instead of actually doing it. And we're not actually feeling our feelings, we're just intellectualizing them. And another part of why I think it is so difficult to leave the restaurant is the resentment we have towards ourselves, right? There's that resentment of how much time we've invested, and we feel like you wasted time, or you wasted your prime years, and you've invested so much of your life into this person. If you've invested so much love in them, and maybe even your like money, I don't know, like, and only for it to not work out. And so you have this resentment for yourself of like, I should have known better, like blah, blah, blah. The thing is, you can't know what time teaches you. You can't know that this person is going to hurt you in the beginning, because you have to let things unfold naturally. And heartbreak is it's an inevitable part of life. And I think it is one of the most human experiences. And honestly, there's a beauty in heartbreak. I think the only way to grow and learn is by experiencing different forms of heartbreak in our lives. And I think the longer people run from it and are scared of it, the harder it is going to be for them to navigate the really big things in the future. And this is why I say, like, I can't date the guy who has never been through anything, because he hasn't been pushed and challenged and strained in the ways that I have. And so he doesn't have that mental fortitude. I digress, but leaving the restaurant is supposed to be a sad thing, right? Like, at one point in time, this was your favorite place, the safest place in the entire world for you. This is where and not necessarily the safest, but like the place that you felt the most comfortable, right? You felt something there. And so you can't help but remember how good that it used to be. And then each and every time either the food came out cold or things were wrong, like, you keep giving it another chance because you're holding on to how good it used to be. And the thing about that is, each and every time you're just going to be more and more disappointed, until one day you're just able to stop making the excuses, stop saying just one more chance, and you're able to pay the bill and leave the table. And this is why I think the summer house reunion is such a good indicator of all these dynamics, because we're seeing it both play out with Sierra and Amanda. Amanda kept making excuses for Kyle, held on for 10 fucking years, to the point that now she's the toxic one and like is causing pain. And that's the thing too, of when you don't confront your own wounds. The thing I always say about, and this is actually the dedication in my book that I'm writing, is that it's for the ones who are healing, so they don't bleed on those who didn't cut them. And that's going to be the dedication of my book. And it's something that I always say in life, is that it's our responsibility. Like, we're not responsible for the wounds that were inflicted on us. We're not responsible for the pain others have caused us, but we are responsible for is healing from that pain, so we don't do the same to others. So we don't do the same to the people that we love and are in love with. And this is what we're seeing play out on Summer House. And so in my journey of being single for now, I've been single from a tried and true relationship for 5 years now. I haven't had a boyfriend in 5 years. And of course I've dated here and there, but I've taken a year off dating. As of now, it's like not something I'm prioritizing, but if it comes my way, I will go on a date. But there's a lot of things that being single for 5 years has taught me. And I wrote down a couple of them because I think it is just so important to discuss those things. But first and foremost is that connection isn't always romantic. Some of the most profound relationships you're going to have in your life are platonic. And I know that firsthand. And bouncing off of that is that community matters more than we think it does. And it's actually going to be oftentimes more fulfilling than just a romantic relationship, because one person is not meant to be everything for you. They're not meant to fulfill every need. That's a lot of fucking pressure to put on somebody, and it's just not healthy. Something else that being single has taught me is that just like how to be alone without feeling lonely, and how to genuinely enjoy my alone time. And it's honestly freeing, because another thing too is like, I no longer see my singleness as this waiting room. And what that has allowed me to do is choose people out of a place of genuine desire and connection instead of just feeling like I need someone to choose me and I just need somebody in my life and feeling like I need to have somebody who I'm in constant contact with. Because the thing too with dating is I haven't talked about this analogy in a long time, but while we're on the food and kitchen analogy, I want to talk about a microwave relationship versus a crock pot relationship. Okay. Microwave relationships are what everyone wants nowadays, right? We want it fast. We want it easy. You want it that instant connection and like you're just dating and married and in love and you force things and it's just never as good as that slow burn crock pot recipe. The best relationships that I have had, the best relationships I've seen demonstrated in real life are the ones that were the slow burn. It was done over time. Maybe they were friends first. Like it went at such a slow pace. And so that's why I'm saying all these modern dating bullshit rules of the 3-month rule. If he doesn't ask you out in a week, but like if he isn't, you don't sleep with him by this date, or if you sleep with him, just like all of that is for the microwave relationships where it's all surface level. And a lot of those relationships are the ones of people who are just performing on social media. Like the couples that are like, they met, they're together, they're moving in, this, that, like it's microwave, it's crock pot. And you're oftentimes overlooking blatant red flags. And all of that is out of that core wound of wanting to be chosen. And oftentimes those are the relationships that keep us stuck at the restaurant because reality, the restaurant's food, it was in the microwave. All right. Microwave relationships are the instantaneous relationships. And they're what people try to do nowadays, and they rush things, they rush right into it. They don't actually get to know this person and evaluate whether or not they represent what they want for their future. And instead it's just like, oh, I'm chosen by this person. Cool. Great. I have somebody. And the crock pot relationships are what dating with intention requires. And so I want us to remember too, with dating, it requires that irregularity and it requires patience and it requires a slow burn to have that lasting connection. And I always say, like, maybe this is, whatever, but I always say that we should not sacrifice our time and our routines for a relationship. And I fully believe that. However, I'm not talking about sacrifice, but dating does require you to adjust your routines accordingly. Like it's not saying you're no longer going to the gym, but maybe instead of going at 5 p.m. on Thursdays, maybe you swap your rest day to accommodate your person's schedule. Like dating requires you to move some puzzle pieces around in your life to fit this person in. And so I think a lot of people too are too strict with their life. And they're like, if you do not fit exactly into this box, exactly into this place in my schedule, like it is not going to work. And we're too strict with it. That's not what's going to form that crockpot relationship. That's for the microwave relationships. The person that's meant to be in your life isn't going to be that like perfect last fit puzzle piece. It's going to be honestly a little bit janky and you're like, I don't know if this, like, you're going to have to figure out some things. But so dating is not about someone disrupting your life and you're having to sacrifice and give all your things up, but it requires you to get comfortable with the fact that your routines are going to have to change a little bit. And this is why I always say too, that there is nobody busier than somebody who is not interested in you. Because yeah, they may like you. Yeah, they may want to get to know you, but they are not willing to prioritize making that happen. And that's why, like, we're all busy. Adult life is busy. So dating this person is not going to fit perfectly into your life. And that's why if you're feeling confused in the connection, you're not confused. They just know that you're going to wait for them. So I think all of this, I've been talking for a while, but I hope this, if you're someone who is feeling a little bit called out by this episode, I think that means you have not left the restaurant like you thought you have. And the thing is, I want you to remember, like when you reheat the leftovers, it's never as good as the first time around. So if you are going to give somebody a second chance, you need to be so sure of yourself and know, like, you can have that first bite, but if it ain't good, walk away and get a new meal. Like we're on the food analogies today, but that is all for this week's episode of Not the Girl Next Door. Make sure you leave us a 5-star review wherever you are listening. And I will, again, sign up for emails about when the Substack goes live. It's replacing the Snail Mail Club. And I will see you guys next week for another episode. Have a good day, even if you don't want to. Bye for now.